You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Tuesday. It's been a little bit of a break again for me, but it's hard to manage everything when you've got football, basketball, all the things happening at once. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I am your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today's Sports Media Group. And we are getting to the mailbag from last week. It was supposed to be Friday, then I was going to do it Sunday, and then ended up doing an inordinate amount of exercise. Like I've told you, I'm working towards losing weight. I have a goal in mind by a certain day, and I went ham. I'm talking, I walked 12 miles, or was it? No, I walked 10 miles, I walked 12 miles, ran 2, weightlifted. I mean, it was a lot. I did a lot of things. So anyway, that is why, for personal reasons, we didn't have anything. But I'm trying to take care of my actual health after a couple years of not doing that. But anyway, we are getting into the mailbag that was from last week. So obviously there's some things about basketball that have already been answered, but we'll try to provide context where that was now after the fact. Not a lot of questions this week again. I don't know, man. It's been like the enthusiasm, especially with football. It's like I just looked at the 2 articles I wrote already today, and like the enthusiasm for football, weirdly, it feels as low, if not lower, than this time last year. It's really bizarre, but especially because we had a really good press conference today. I thought it was among the best that we've had player-wise. I thought it was really exciting, and how good it was. It just had so much happening, and ain't no one seemed to care. Anyway, let's get to the mailbag. Starting with our leaders and best, James Crudup at James Crudup 6. It seems like Michigan has fallen behind in trying to play catch up with Dante Moore, and it's being reported that Weiss isn't very aggressive. If you were Harbaugh, would you accept that? What type of recruiter would you be if you were on staff? I still don't. I really am not buying a lot of the. I just, again, I haven't talked to Dante in 6 months or so. Yeah, it's been about 6, maybe 7 months. And I understand other schools are going to be involved in whatever. I know Notre Dame is the nouveau pick at the moment. I still feel like, I don't feel like Michigan's fallen behind at all. I do think that there is maybe something to the Weiss-Dante Moore relationship, and he was close with Gaddis. It's just going to take a minute to get that going again, of course. But, I mean, he's the type of guy like Will Johnson. He's seen everything he needs to see. He's from here. His dad's a Michigan fan. He's trained with Devin Gardner. He got his Michigan offer back in 2018 when he was in 8th grade. I mean, I think that sometimes, too, the grass is greener, that you got to let him go through his process. Obviously, Michigan's all in on him. There's really no one else in 2023. They have to absolutely get the 5-star quarterback sitting, 20 minutes away. But I don't think that it's necessarily this big, dire situation like that. As far as type of recruiter I would be if I was on staff, I mean, I don't know. I would be very aggressive, but at the same time, I'm not sure exactly what it's like to be an actual recruiter in that sense, but I would be as aggressive as possible without turning a kid off. I'd certainly play things as straight as possible. I would definitely be like, here's what things are, and I would be as straight of a shooter as you possibly can, because that's just how I am, obviously, anyway. I don't mess around. I don't play games. I'm not, I'm going to be, really straightforward. And what you see is what you're going to get, at least in the recruiting situation. So, We'll see what happens down the road with Dante. There's still a couple months. I think long before, Michigan kind of did everything that it could. But, I mean, you still got Ron Bellamy on staff. He's part of it, it's a full court press. But remember, at this stage, and I know Dante wants to make a decision earlier, at this stage, Michigan was so far behind on Donovan Edwards They actually were, so far behind on him, and then ended up getting him anyway. So I don't think it matters that much at the moment. It will matter later, and even if he commits to Notre Dame, what if Michigan has a great season, Notre Dame has a terrible season? It's a new coaching staff over there as well. There's no way to say for sure what Notre Dame is going to be if that ends up being the other school. Well, obviously, it could be LSU. Same deal, Josh Barrett, Jadicke. Watched the Weiss and more interviews. They seem to be undecided how the play calling is going to work. Before Gaddis, when they did something similar, we always struggled with the 2-minute drill. Do you think they're aware of the risk? And if so, how are they addressing it? I had an interesting conversation because obviously it's funny because I remember when Jim Harbaugh came, it was like he's doing this thing by committee. It's great. And then later down the line, it's like he's doing this by committee. It's terrible. And then Gaddis is doing it, on his own. It's like he's not doing it by committee. This is terrible. So you know what I mean? It's kind of whatever. But I think the 2-minute drill will be interesting. I mean, it's just long been an issue. I mean, it was an issue at times this past year. But as far as the risk of them, and everything, I think I wouldn't be surprised, and this is where I get to that conversation. I had a conversation with Jake Butt over the weekend, and he had said something that I didn't know about. He said that, back when Harbaugh was at the 49ers, he had literally a coordinator for every thing. He had like a 2-minute drill coordinator. He had like a red zone coordinator. He had, someone that was in charge of every different thing. And I don't think it matters as much as long as they figure it out, obviously, by the time the season comes and that it's cohesive. I think it's fine. I'm not going to put too much stock into that, to be completely honest, at the moment. If it season starts, and thankfully they've got a nice little warm-up, they can try things out against Colorado State, going up against that air raid. They can try things out against whoever else it is they play. I can't even remember at this point. There you go. I was about to introduce Jimmy Whitner at Jimmy Whitner 1. I don't know if you can hear Zuri barking upstairs. She knew. Anyway, what are you hoping to see most from the spring game? Number 2, if you could attend only one home game and one away game, which would you choose? Let's answer the first 2 before we get to the 3. What I want to see most from the spring game is just essentially guys playing fast. I think that's all you can really hope for. It's not going to be number 1s versus number 2s and, on either side of the ball. So it's not like you're going to see both sides look awesome. It's going to be okay, it's going to be a draft. So I just want to see players making plays. I really am looking forward to seeing those freshman wide receivers. I want to see some of those other players that we're looking forward to seeing, like Rayshon Benny. I want to see my guy, Julius Welskoff. I want to see how he does, because they need some of those types of guys. We'd obviously love to see a couple big plays from Mike Morris and Taylor Upshaw. That's really that. As far as the one home game and one away game this year, if I could choose one of each. Ohio State's obviously the away game. The one home game, probably Penn State. And maybe it would be, I'd say Michigan State. I think I'd be more comfortable watching the Michigan State game at home. Everything about that week is irksome to me. But every year, win or lose. But it'd probably be Michigan State. I was going to say Penn State, but no, it's Michigan. Michigan State and Ohio State would be the ones that I would choose. Number 3, when the season is over, how many freshmen will have started a game? I don't know about started a game. I don't know that you're going to see Derek Moore starting. I mean, maybe you could. Will Johnson could be that guy, but I mean, there's depth around him, so that's good. But I guess he would be the one that I would say would be a starter. I think outside of that, as much as I love Darius Clemens' game, and they've been raving just as much about Amarian Walker and Tyler Morris, I think they've got so many guys ahead of them that I can't imagine they're going to start. Andrell Anthony continues to get rave reviews. I still don't know that he's even going to be a starter, right? There's just so many guys. I don't know that just kind of thinking down the list of this last class, I'll say 1. And I don't think he's a full-time starter. KRT at Farmer 84. Has NIL picked up for Michigan football? We'll continue with in a moment. It does seem like it has. For instance, you can see Blake Corum driving around in a new Camaro with a camo skin and his logo on it. Just I haven't heard about it. I've just seen it, and clearly he's that car has got to be the only one. Unless there's a Blake Corum imposter driving around Ann Arbor. Certainly. I think it's picked up. Donovan Edwards signed with a car dealership. You're starting to see more and more. I don't know that it's anywhere close to the peak. I think that's still got a ways to go. And as well as I know Valiant's working on a lot of stuff that hasn't quite come out. They started with their NFTs a month ago, and some of those are pretty cool. I only say that because they've got my pictures, but I think it is picking up. But I just don't think it's close to the apex yet. Which player has been the most successful with NIL so far? I think that's definitely Blake Corum. It can't not be Blake Corum. It seems like, he's like Outback and Subway and, he's got his own line, all that kind of stuff. It's got to be Blake Corum. JJ McCarthy's got to be there too, I would imagine, but I haven't seen him he's not out there the same way that Blake Corum is. So I don't know. Who did you pick to win it all in your March Madness bracket? I picked Gonzaga. Let's see. And to those who were playing our bracket, apologies for the for how things were going there for a couple days. I'm very sorry about it. My Final Four is a disaster. I had 3 Big Ten teams, none of them Michigan. Illinois and Iowa, they're gone. They are gone. So that's not great. But as far as we are here. Let's see. I'm in the middle of the pack. 40 points, possible 124. I picked Gonzaga. Well, WLBNHR is in the lead right now. 26 first-round points, 9 second-round, also has Gonzaga. So chances are I ain't overtaking them. So we got 9 people in our little Locked On Wolverines pool. Again, remember, the winner gets $100 of my money. Venmo them right out. Anyway, let's continue because we are a little bit behind time, which is fine because we only have like 7 questions left. Jonathan Joseph at JJoseph2156. If you could watch and cover one former player's son, who would it be? Does it have to be someone? If it's not someone that's got a son of age, of course. I'm assuming. It would be Tom Brady because the son of the GOAT's probably going to be awesome. He's getting trained by the GOAT. But it would probably, other than that, I would love to see what Denard's son would be, right? If he's just as fast as dad. And sometimes you just see guys that are they want to be better, like Aiden to Chris. That said, Aiden Hutchinson's son, that could be something. That could really be something. All right, let's continue on here momentarily. We don't have a ton. I think we've got 4 and 3, so actually I think 7 questions left. So anyway, man, I love March Madness, and I love these brackets, but the last time I actually went deep or won any money is nil, so I'm hedging my bets this year with Stat Heroes NCAA Pick'em contests. Stat Heroes NCAA single-game Pick'ems pits the star players against each other, an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take control back from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on the players you know best with a gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times more often. Why? Because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you are going up against. In addition to their pick'em games, they also have dozens of lineups so you can comb through to take on head-to-head. They simply just post sets of players for you to take on with sets of players that you choose. So anyway, Stat Hero is the easiest and fastest way to get your sports action fix. A simple, sleek gameplay. We'll have you playing in minutes. This is what daily fantasy was meant to be. So sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon. Use the promo code LOCKEDON for 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use the promo code LOCKEDON for 100% match. Stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. You also know how much I love Built Bar. If you don't know what Built Bar is, it is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Very crucial. I've had a few over the weekend. I've got a couple more of my white chocolate cookies and cream left. I'm trying to ration them, but it's helping me with my weight loss goals. I'm down 10 pounds. I can partially thank Built Bar because when I want to go have like a cheeseburger or worse, I have like 1,000 cupcakes. I have a Built Bar. They're high protein, low calorie, low carb. So it's everything that you need. You can have 2 at a time. You're looking at 260 calories and 40 grams of protein. I mean, your macros are right there. So join me. I've put my money where my mouth is. I've bought dozens of boxes of Built Bar. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15. Built.com, use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off of your next order of Built Bar. All right, we've got not a lot left. Normally it's like, oh, we've got so many. We've got 4 and 3, and some of them are already answered. So all kind of depends on the timing here because we're already like we're getting close to where we could end this thing for the day. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of your time just to talk. Anyway, Zach Van Lenti at Lenti Zach. Do you think Urban Meyer moved back to Columbus to be closer to his family or his mistress? Just kidding. If we know anything about Meyer, it's that he's a great recruiter, and now he's working close to Day again. Any chance Michigan takes a similar approach in the future with a big name? I mean, I think they're hoping that that's kind of what Denard is, but at the same time, I was talking to someone the other day, and it's like, Denard doesn't have recruiting experience. I mean, he does maybe at Jacksonville, but Jacksonville University, that is. It wasn't like he was recruiting to the Jaguars. But, and when he played 10 years ago, the kids that they were recruiting were 6. I know, time flies. Especially because he came after I graduated. And if I would have graduated when I was supposed to, it would have came well after instead of right after. But anyway, you know what? I mean, yeah, he's a great recruiter, but Ryan Day's a great recruiter. I think Ryan Day's recruiting has honestly been better than Meyer's. It's maybe that it hasn't quite worked out as well on the field. I mean, it's worked out pretty good on the field, let's be honest. But, I mean, you know, Urban Meyer's teams weren't soft. I think Ohio State might be a little softer. And we'll see. I think this will be a good year, you know, with them playing Notre Dame and them playing Wisconsin. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan tries to do the same, but I don't know that there's a name to go out there and get, right, that's going to have that type of impact. So, I mean, someone in the Michigan program told me, and this was back when things weren't working, you know, they can do it their way and we'll do things our way, which was like, well, their way is working and yours is not. Michigan still needs to, like, the one thing that is disappointing to me is that it does not feel like Michigan is capitalized off of what just happened. Michigan making it to the college football playoff should be like 5 stars knocking on the door. And that has not happened. I guess it's not always going to be that way because Clemson and Michigan recruit very similarly, and that's still kind of true. You know? It's not just going to change overnight. Generic at ERKJ72. Is Ashawn Larkins an underrated loss for the football program? Doesn't seem like anyone's talked about him going to Ole Miss. I think maybe, yeah, but I still think, like, Ashawn Larkins still wasn't, and we have to see how this plays out. They've gotten one commitment since in Brooke Barr, since the new recruiting staff. I feel like we need to see what they do from here. You know what I mean? It's still not Chris Partridge, you know, but you have to keep in mind, like, Mike Elston is like a big part of the recruiting staff now too. So I saw him like escorting recruits in along with all the other usual suspects in the recruiting department when we were there for Pro Day, you know. So I hate to say that they have to keep winning and that will change everything, because I feel like as much as like everyone inside Schembechler Hall feels like the early part of this offseason, because they'll tell you as much, like it didn't matter the way that everyone says it matters. It does in the sense that you haven't capitalized on it, on what your success from last year recruiting wise yet. You know, you still got to be able to do that. So I don't know if it's an underrated loss yet. We'll see. I'm a big fan of Albert Karshnia. I've known Albert since I started covering the team in 2015. Friend of mine. He's great. I think he's going to kill it at Michigan as well. So And some of the guys that have already been around. Chris Bryant is awesome. I'm curious to see how the rest of it works, right? Christina DeRuyter is awesome. Sydney Sims is awesome. Some of those people are great that I've come to know over the last year. Tyler at T_Force1, who will lead Michigan football in receiving yards next year? I really want to say Ronnie Bell, because that just makes all of the sense in the world, but I didn't even pick him last year. I picked, who did I pick? I don't even know who I picked last year. It wasn't Ronnie. I think I picked Dalen Baldwin, and I was way off. I think if I was to make a pick right now, who's going to lead the team in receiving yards, it's going to be Andrell Anthony. I think he's going to be the guy. I think Ronnie Bell's still going to be electric. He's going to be really good, but it's just kind of like, I don't think Chris Olave maybe I'm wrong. I don't think Chris Olave led Ohio State last year. I think it was Garrett Wilson. I think it's going to be something like that, But we'll see. All right, finishing us out in segment 2 of the Victors Valiant, Laura at Mgo Blah. I don't know how you want me to say that. Mgo Bleaux. I struggle every week. The future's bright for Michigan basketball. Is there any chance any of our freshmen would declare for the draft? The young kids had great chemistry out there. Do you sit Devontae or start him? And that's obviously going into the game last week, since this was supposed to be on Friday. Obviously, they started him. I would have started him too. As far as freshmen declaring for the draft, I mean, I've heard some rumblings about Musa. I still feel like that would be strictly based off of potential, because we've seen flashes. I do not think Caleb Houston is draftable at the moment, but maybe, again, they'd look and say, hey, we could make him something. At the moment, I think that they'd have to come back, personally. I have been surprised before, right? I remember DJ Wilson, I'm declaring, I'm like internally I didn't say anything. And, if someone declares for the most part early in any of the sports, I'm like, okay, they can do what they want. Sometimes I might think maybe they shouldn't. And most of the time when I've thought that, that ended up being the right choice for them. Jordan Poole, Iggy Brasdakis, DJ Wilson, not saying that all of those I was like, hey, you should, but I felt like, oh, if you come back for another year, then you're probably definitely a first rounder. Well, 2 of those 3 were first rounders. So, all right, let's move on. We have a couple more left. But before we do, listen, it's that time of year. His college basketball tournament is just going. Bracket's busted pretty much, except for my national championship pick. But hey, from all the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. I am shocked. Some of the least amount of questions we've had for mailbag. I think it was 13. Let's see. 3, 4, so that's 7. 12. 12 questions. And we're going the distance. We're doing it. Actually, we probably won't, because none of the rest of them are particularly substantive. Anyway, MJ10 Kool-Aid and Big Ten champs at Mason Blue 35899. Any truth to Michigan being hailed as the most dangerous 11 seed of all time? People are talking. I mean, they're doing pretty good, but I don't know they're the most dangerous 11 seed. What was Loyola in 2018? Weren't they 11 seed? I gotta look. Let's see. Chicago versus Michigan. Let's see if we can figure it out. Yeah, they were an 11 seed. They made it to the Final Four. I don't think that Michigan's going to make it to the Final Four. I hate to break it to you. I don't think Michigan's making it past Villanova. And I hope to be wrong. I thought that they were going to win the first 2 weeks, and they did. But yeah, the Ramblers made it. They were an 11 seed, but they were 32-6 that year. They ran into a buzzsaw that it was the number 3 seeded Michigan Wolverines in the Final Four. And the rest was history. So I think it's I think that this has been a really good run. I think it's a success now. I still think I don't think that they're going much further. It would be great if they can find a way to get to the Elite Eight. Hey, they play games for a reason. They could get to the. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this team got to the Final Four. It would not surprise me. But they would have to also get past either Houston or Arizona, which I think is a challenge, because that's the next game, right? I think. Just to be sure here, I would love it if this. Here we go. Yeah, Houston, Arizona. So they'd have to get past one of those two. Houston could emerge from the South bracket for sure. KenPom has them as number 3 overall. Maybe refresh this to make sure that's right. No, number 2 overall. But they have Arizona as 3. Michigan is down at 27. They play number 11 Villanova with the 8th offense and 30th defense. Michigan's got the 19th offense and 78th defense. But hey, again, they play games for a reason. Michigan is not the lowest team left in KenPom. Miami, Iowa State, Providence. Those teams are still dancing, and they're below Michigan at the moment. All right, the last two are pretty much answered. So Chad Finley at Fin51. Will Jones be available for Saturday's game? I've never really come with much info on stuff like that, especially basketball injury stuff. Y'all keep asking. Michael Morse at Wolverine Morse 2. If Jones is good to go, does Juwan immediately put him back in the starting 5 or give Frankie the point due to his stellar round 1 game? I don't think you're ever I know obviously we saw it, but I think that Juwan, and it's one of those things. Starters don't lose jobs due to injuries, you know. I think that we did see that in football. I think Wilton Spate lost his job due to injury. And this might be an explosive take, but I think that Wilton Spate was healthy to play that 2017 Ohio State game. I think. I don't know for sure. But some of the things that I've heard from people that are not Wilton Spate and people who are just, you know what I mean? I'm not saying this is like a definitive thing, but like I had multiple people kind of tell me that he was healthy. So it does happen, but I think that's I just don't think that Juwan operates that way. You know what I mean? All right, that's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we will have Johnny Avello, the director of the sportsbook at DraftKings. He will be coming on to talk about what he's seen from the tournament, Michigan's chances against Villanova or Arizona or Houston, who he likes from the field. We'll do a whole thing. And then we'll skip the mailbag on Thursday. We'll do a reaction show, of course. Friday, we'll push the new mailbag to that day. Everything, God willing, and the creek don't rise. And then Saturday, hopefully we have, knock on wood again, another reaction show. All right, so that'll do it for us today. Went a lot longer than I thought. So anyway, thank you for watching and or listening. We'll be back on Wednesday for sure since we have a guest. We'll talk to you then. Peace.